Today I have a very special guest for you, a gentleman that you've seen many, many times in the Westerns. He's one of the Lone Rangers, Mr. John Hart. John, how you doing, partner?
Just fine, Sunset. It's nice to see you.
Thank you very much. It's really swell to have you drop out and visit with us.
The old Western atmosphere, never going to die of it.
Never going to die. I hope not. I tell you, it's wonderful to work out like
Well,
this.
you know, I started when I was a kid. I know you were a cowhand. I worked on a cattle ranch, worked on a horse ranch, $1 a day, you know.
You beat me.
Ride from sunrise to sundown.
You kind of beat me. I started out busting broncs for 50 cents a head.
Oh, boy.
I had to stop money in them days. Wow.
Well, that's when Ben Johnson changed his mind, you know, $150 a day as opposed to $30 a month. He figured this was a better deal. But I actually started acting in the theater. I went to South Pasadena High School with Bill Holden. His name was Billy Beetle in those days. And Billy Beetle and I decided that being an actor was a pretty good idea. My mother was a drama critic, so we took drama in high school and then went on up to the Pasadena Playhouse and did a lot of theater there. Then I worked in a DeMille picture and got a contract at Paramount. And then Billy came along and he got a deal at Paramount, and then he tried out for Golden Boy at Columbia and got the lead in that, and I never saw him again, you know. We were good friends. I'd see him once in a while. He and my brother were good friends in Africa. But the first picture I ever worked on, I started out right at the top, was a DeMille picture, The Buccaneer, 1937. It was one of Anthony Quinn's first pictures. Francesca Gall was the leading lady, Frederick March. And it was quite an experience, starting in with old CB himself. I got in on one of his historical scenes. He would, about once every 2 weeks, he'd blow up. And I mean, it was the most painful, embarrassing thing when he decided to pull one of his little acts. He'd pick on an assistant director or some bit player or something. I don't know what his psychology was, because outside of those moments, the man was a gentleman. I've been to his house for lunch and dinner, and I got to know him. But when he decided to go after somebody, it was just awful. Everybody would just die. He'd get that mic, and there'd be 500,000 people on the set, and he'd just start chewing the guy out, and he never used bad language or anything. So one time, he was trying to do a very difficult mob scene, and you know, he always had horses and chickens and cows and pigs and hundreds of people, and it was very difficult. And he had everybody quiet, and some guy said something to another guy. DeMille hit the ceiling. He just blew up. All right, it's so important. Get a microphone. Take it down to that man. If that's so important, we have to stop this production. This costs us $5,000 a minute. Well, it was awful. So finally he got an assistant, took a microphone over to this guy, and he said, all right, now tell everybody, if it's so important, exactly what did you say? So the guy says, all right. I said, I wonder when that old bald-headed son of a bitch is going to call lunch. that was a famous DeMille story.
That's fantastic.
And then, you know, you keep thinking of funny things. People don't realize that, I guess, acting in the movies is work. You know, you get up early in the morning, and it's serious work, and you're trying to remember your lines, and you don't... you know, things happen. I worked after the DeMille picture. I got a contract at Paramount, and it was an era of the gangster pictures. They were the B pictures. Mary Carlisle, Lloyd Nolan, Robert Preston, who was from the Playhouse, Anthony Quinn, a lot of people. Lloyd Nolan became a big star. Akeem Tamiroff, J. Carroll Nash was a heavy bad guy, and we worked and worked, and then World War II came along, and I guess I was an unemployed actor by then, and they said, that's the kind of guy we want to draft. You know, this was before Pearl Harbor. So I got drafted right away when they had the draft, and I got out of the Army about 5 years later. And the first picture I worked in after that, I'd gotten to know John Hall, and his wife used to sing on the Bob Hope show all the time. Anyway, John got me over at Universal, and I got a job on a Western with him. And I don't know, something happened. It rained, it went on and on and on. It was supposed to be a quickie, but it turned into a major production, which was great. You know, you're getting paid every week. Then John went to Columbia, and I got a job doubling him as his stunt double. I wasn't very good then because I didn't know. It was a lot of riding and swimming. I was a good swimmer. And after that, Katzman, the producer, was going to make Jack Armstrong the All-American Boy, which was a big, expensive serial. And I got the lead in that. Then while I'm finishing Jack Armstrong, they had a stunt guy hired to double me, but I did everything. He'd maybe do a long shot once in a while, but I was doing all the fights and the bumps. Then I got talking to the guy, I got to be friends with him. He was making more money than I was. And I was learning all the lines and the jokes and doing all this stuff.
Doing all the work.
So I said, wow, I'm going. So then I did stunts clear up to it was about 1950, 51. I'd do acting parts with stunts connected with it, and I made a good living at that. There was another actor named Ricky Vallon, and Ricky and I would work, and we both loved to fish. We'd hit a good lick on a picture and then head for Mexico, and then when we had to send for 20 bucks to get home, we'd come back and start nosing around the studios again. And during some of those stunt things were kind of funny. I'm trying to think of, I always wound up in pirate pictures, I guess, because I could swim. You know, you could fall off, and they'd get, I used to be hired, they'd call it utility stunt double, and they'd hire about 5 guys and then just extras or anybody around, they'd give them the parts. And we'd take turns during the dangerous, you know, where you could maybe get hurt or had to know what you were doing. But a lot of stuff were those big sword fights, you know, where you'd see about 50 guys all going like this. Yeah. Well, that is absolute danger. That is the worst thing. Those swords get to be like a saw blade after they go like this for a while. And you're fighting a guy here, and then some guy in back of you, and he goes like this, and he stabs the guy in back of him in the neck, and I mean, it's bad. So after a few of these, I'd get some poor dumb guy that had never done this before. I say, the minute he says action, I'm going to grab you by the throat. We're going to roll under that table.
Get out of the way.
Get the hell out of the way, get under the table, and you come up, you know, and do another one. Oh, God. And then another time, I was right on camera, and I had to swim over to the side of this boat and climb up a knotted rope, you know, with a sword in my mouth. And I had these damn boots on, and there was about 5 gallons of water in each boot, and I about had 8 heart attacks and died getting up that rope, pulling all the weight up there. Then let's see what else happened in my great life. Then I worked on a lot of Lone Rangers when Clayton was the Lone Ranger. I played, having the background of the Pasadena Playhouse, I could learn dialogue. You never got a chance to do it very well, but if you just, Buster Crabbe made a big statement about this, the way in all the pictures we worked. What the hell chance did you have to go for some real quality? You know, all they wanted you to just get it out, make it believable, and on to the next setup as fast as you could go. So I could work all the time because I could do tons of stuff in one take. You know, not as good as you'd like it, but you'd get it done and it would be believable. And then I guess when Clayton, they paid so poorly now. You know, nowadays if you're a TV personality and a star, my God, you're making, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, not in those days. It was nothing.
No, not in those days.
People say, well, wonder why Clayton quit or why they had trouble. I says he probably wanted to get paid. They didn't want to pay him because when I did it, it was for peanuts. Yeah. I mean, it was the cheapest job I ever did. I did. It was fun to work and get paid every week, but I never took it too seriously. Of course, nowadays, having done the Lone Ranger, you know, I dine out on that, and oh, you were the Lone Ranger. What would you like? You know what? That's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's a lot of fun to do that. And then I did Hawkeye, which was an excellent series. It was made in Canada, and I had Lon Chaney as my faithful. I can't do anything without a faithful Indian companion, you see. I had Jay Silverheels as Tonto, and then Lon Chaney played Chingachgook in Hawkeye. And that was a very good series. We had very good ratings, and it looked so good, I came back to California and bought a big house by a golf course, and then the whole thing went down the tube, you see. So I wound up working on Rawhide at MGM for a couple of years. That was a good gig. And then I decided, you know, I'm getting a little older and you're waiting for the phone to ring. I worked all the time, but it was, you know, an undependable way to make a living. I got married and I had a wife to take care of. So I learned film editing and went to work for a industrial film company, and I wound up directing and shooting a lot of stuff for them. And then I made my own films. I have 3 school films now in production, in distribution. And then the last 3 years, I've been the associate producer on Quincy, which is wonderful. You know, you get paid every week and you don't have all that hassle, and it's a lot of fun. Well, Sunset, you've made me think back about things I haven't really thought of in a long time. I'm not...
John, I've enjoyed every minute of this. I tell you, it's wonderful. You start talking and your mind goes back in, you remember those things.
I'm getting as bad as Terry Frost. You're going to have Terry on here, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to have to get about 200 foot more film or something like that, or a few more reels.
Yeah, boy.
They get Terry on. But
well, you know, it's a marvelous way to make a living. It's interesting. There's never 2 days alike. There's always something different
new every day. That's for sure. That's right.
So it's I really can't complain.
Well, John, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, partner, for coming down and visiting.
It's been a pleasure, Sunset.
Nostalgia
Good luck.
Theater.
I think this is a wonderful idea. I hope you drag all us old guys out of the woodwork.
I'll get everyone out I can and visiting with them, and of course the fans out there really want to see them. So,
well, that's
thank
great.
you for coming down. And partners, I hope you've enjoyed today's show with John Hart, the other Lone Ranger. Until we see you again, so long, goodbye, and may God bless you.